Good evening, everyone. We are here with our mentor, Mahrukh Rana, and she's here to give her knowledge towards her expertise. That is, she is a certified HRM professional. Not just that, but she has many areas where she keenly look forward and improve in management, that is, towards talent acquisition, talent management, diversity and inclusion, organizational development, and HR business partner. So we are here with Ms. Mahrukh Rana, and she is going to give and deliver a webinar on mindset reset, embracing professionalism. Thank you, Ms. Mahrukh, for your time, and we are keenly looking forward to have some insight towards this topic. Over to you, Ms. Mahrukh.
And thank you so much, Mahin, for having me and giving a brief introduction. Yes, I'm basically a HR professional and I'm in the field for last 5 years. So today we are going to discuss the that what are the skills that we actually everyone is having a professional degree and we are applying to the different jobs, but what are actually the skills that are being embraced in the professional world and professional environment that can make us stand out from others. So we will be discussing basically the professionalism. Is it like, if we define like what is the professionalism, it refers to the set of behaviors and attitudes that are required from a person in a professional setup, in a professional environment, and to excel. So when we are talking about professionalism, I'm not going to stress on the degrees and the technical skills and the professional skills that you learn in your college. Other than that, there are basically, if you enter into the professional world, it's now not more about like what you know, it's also about the other skills that are very integral for your professional success in the workplace. So we'll be discussing them. Let me just have a look briefly, and we will be discussing all these skills one by one, as we have just 1 hour time. So I'll be briefly describing all these skills that will, if you if you empower yourself on those skills and learn these skills, your application, your interview will always stand out, and you will definitely will flourish in your workplace. These skills are effective communication, emotional intelligence, resilience, conflict resolution, integrity and reliability, adaptability, continuous learning, empathy, and most importantly, your interpersonal skills and professional network. So, when we come to the effective communication, I would say, if in my experience, the 17% if not more than that, the 70% of your personality and about the communication skills matters in a professional environment. Because in professional environment, basically you are not just performing your work, you are dealing with a lot of the people, your colleagues, your managers, and 70% of the time, even during your interview, is the communication skills that help you stand out and help you to make your point and flourish. Because if you're not having the effective communication skills, you cannot actually present your point and achieve your purpose. So basically, in professional environment, the skill that matters most is the communication. And when we talk about communication, it's face-to-face communication, non-verbal communication, and in professional world also the electronic media. So when we talk about the effective communication, so what is the type of the communication that we may call is the effective one? So the effective communication is always the one that produce the desired result and the intent. Because when we communicate, we talk, we converse, we do have a purpose in the mind. We may want to impart some information. We may want to persuade someone to our point, or we may want to tell the other person that what skills do we have. So whatever the intention is, effective communication is when you have achieved that intention. Then we say that we have communicated the message completely. For example, if you are trying to tell someone about your abilities and about your skills, and other person actually knows what is in your what you were having in your mind, and you have communicated that into the word clearly, that's the effective communication. And the effective communication is always a two-way process that we need to understand. When we talk about communication, we think only about speaking, while communication is not related only to the speaking and what you are saying. It's also about your effective listening skills, because without listening there is no effective communication. When you are not getting and giving having the feedback from the person you are communicating, that if are you getting what I'm trying to say. The effective communication, what you need to do first, you need to define like what purpose you want to achieve from this communication. Do you want to resolve a conflict, or you want to persuade some person, or you just want to give the awareness or the information? When the purpose is clear, then make your communication in a way and design it, and in between always ask the person that could you please repeat that what I have said. Or if you are someone is speaking, always repeat back that okay, so you are saying this and this, so that there are no barriers, or there are no different messages in both of the minds. So the process of the effective communication is like there is a sender who is telling a message. So you always need to have a two-way feedback. You need to, for being an effective communicator, you need to be effective listener. For being effective listener means is you are listening someone not to respond, but you are listening someone that what the person is having in the mind. Only then you can understand the person's perspective, and then you can always communicate back. So it's like when you're sending the message is encoding in differently. The person may decode the message in totally different way, because every person has different background of upgrowing, different perspectives on the thing. So that's why when what you are encoding can could be decoded in a very different way. That's why it's very important to have a two-way conversation and give feedbacks that what you are trying to say is being communicating. And what you need to do, be direct. Well, I will like when we talk about effective communication, so there are basically the seven C's of communication. When what you can take into consideration when trying to communicate in any way, through speaking or through writing. That is the message completeness. The message you are communicating should be complete. There should not be like what you were trying to give the information. If you're, for example, inviting someone, so you need to be clear that what time it is, where is the venue, what is the purpose of the meeting. So the message should be the complete. It's not like what you have said. For example, you are communicating in an email, and you are asking someone for a meeting, and you should properly mention that what is the agenda of the meeting, what will be the time, how much time will it take, and where we will be communicating it. So when the person reads the message, they don't have to ask that what it is about. So always while communicating, have the questions in your mind, what's coming, that what can the person ask next. So the message should be complete, and then the message should be concise. The conciseness means it should not be like different the irrelevant information in the message while you are speaking or you are writing, because in also in professional world everyone is so busy. So whenever you want someone to take notice of you, or being that you should want to highlight yourself, make sure that your message is very concise and it's clear. There is no ambiguity in what you're saying. The message should be clear and concreteness. And concreteness means that it should be solid. It should be like it also come with the assertiveness. Whatever you are saying, you should be sure and the information is right. There's no like you are clear about the message. And then always it's like courtesy. Whenever you're speaking or your communication skill, what comes is like even if you are having a bad day, or even if you're what you're trying to say is a conflict. Does someone want to say anything? Okay, so when the courtesy, whenever you are trying to say something, just be sure that you are being courteous. Always, I say that most of the time the problem is not about the message. The problem is how you have communicated that message. So even if you are trying uh, to have a difficult conversation, or you are trying to resolve a conflict, so what important is you should be paying attention on the purpose and not trying to talk through your emotions. In our further slides, we will be discussing how we can make ourselves more emotional intelligent. And whatever, if you're trying to say, you are saying it with courtesy and keeping it to considering the other person's feeling, the message will be taken positively. So while working in a professional environment, the 80% of the conversation is always through the emails, and so it's very important to learn the email etiquette. So when I say that email etiquettes help you to succeed in the job, help you to make good impression, because sometimes it's normal that when a person could not write an email, so they always have a barrier, because in professional setting no one is always available for a call or for a one-to-one conversation. In my also experience that, but people in I work with, if they don't know how to write the email, they always make themselves perceive very wrong. Though they are working good, but sometimes they are not able to communicate their work and their message effectively. So while writing a business email, what you need to be aware that there should be a proper subject line, because whenever the subject line should not be lengthy, the subject line should always be of 2 to 3 words, and should be having the clear message the what this email is about. If it's about some meeting, with meeting, do write the purpose of the meeting. And if you are trying to have whatever the subject is in 2 to 3 lines, it's very important, because sometimes people just read down the subject. And if you are even applying for a job application, sometimes people who apply for a job application, they just write job application. So no one will take into consideration that subject, because people in the professional environment are always very busy and loaded with the work. So whenever you're applying for the job, do write the job title you are applying for. Okay, so it's very important the subject line you have mentioned should be clear and should be concise. And then make greeting, whatever I say, greetings if it's appropriate. You can always, it's also depending upon the culture of your organization. If the organizational culture is very you say is conservative and conventional organization, and where you have to be say connotation of sir or ma'am, then you have to mold your greetings accordingly. Like in my organization, we do not we have a casual way of communication, so their greetings depends upon the culture of the organization. So you can if it's a casual and friendly environment, you can always write hi. And introduction if it's necessary, because if you're writing someone for the very first time, you may need to the person know that who you are and why you're writing, and then should be your message or a request and the closing remark. So when we talk about the closing remarks, what we make a mistake is we in a professional environment always write a concise message, and when you're closing an email, what I have observed in my professional setting, some of the people will write thank you. So thanking someone for no good reason not make a good impression. Okay, so you don't have to write thank you at the end of your every email. If you are thanking someone, so you should mention that why you are thanking. So the closing remarks also, if it's necessary, you may just write have a good day, or looking forward to hear back from you. It could be a closing remark. And even if you are thanking for, if I tell about my practice how I close my emails, if I want to write thank you, I always, if I have requested someone to do something, so I will always write with closing remark, thanking in anticipation of your cooperation, or thanking in anticipation of your support. So apart from that, if you're no, I'm not requesting us something, and someone has requested something from me and I'm writing a reply, so I always uh, close my email by writing, uh, I'll be happy to assist wherever it is needed. So closing remarks should not be like always. Closing remarks are also important, because what the closing remarks make, they leave the last impression on the reader, and will make them do the things, or will may impact how the message is communicated. Even I would like to give example from my professional environment, how much the communication on the email is important is, because you may offend someone for when without knowing, if you don't have a good communication skills. Recently at my work, I was writing an email, and I had written an email, and I don't know, I was just busy, and I had written, kindly proceed as per the process. And then I don't know what happened, I just changed, kindly expedite as per the process. And after that, just by the changing of that word, I had a call from a very senior, and he took it very wrong, and said that you are commanding me to expedite. So I didn't argue, because I could understand that the simple word, the choose of words. So I said that I meant to proceed. So they said, that there is different meaning of proceed and the expedite. Or maybe in my mind, when I was writing that email, I couldn't see that it will impact the other person that way. That's why what I'm saying is, the choosing the words carefully is very important when you're communicating, and taking into the consideration. So that's why it's important to read your message again and again. So or it may offend some person, and you didn't have the intent, and you may not be having the effective communication in that scenario. Okay, so coming towards the next skill, after the communication skill, one of the other important skill in the work scenario that will definitely like stand you out is emotional intelligence. A research recently says that the higher you go on the designation, the more the emotional intelligence starts to play a role. Instead of your IQ, the EQ starts to matter more, and the higher you go on a higher designation. So what how we define the emotional intelligence is, so the emotions, when we say about emotions, sometimes we think that being emotional is a bad thing. I never say that emotions are very important for our day-to-day working, and because we are human beings, we always work on emotions. So it's only that, not uh, reacting on your emotions, and always acknowledging your emotions, and not being a reactive person on the emotions. So what the emotional intelligence is your, first of all, your ability to understand and be aware of what emotion is going in your side. Because sometimes we always react in a way. For example, we know only few words for emotions, though there are a lot, and there are a bunch of words that we are not aware. We just know that we are happy, sad, angry. So whenever, even if we are disappointed, we would say I'm angry. If sometimes, like, we are excited, we say we are happy. So in that scenarios, first it is important to understand what emotions actually going into inside of you. Maybe you felt demeaned, okay, and instead of acknowledging that, you are saying that I'm angry, and you're acting on that way. So it's important to sit down and understand your feelings first, and then be aware that what you are going through at the moment, and then taking the break from that, and then deciding that is it important to react on this emotion or not. And then ability to be aware of others emotion intelligence is not about being aware of your, but also the understanding the emotions of people, that when you're communicating or conversing with someone or dealing with someone, what the feelings is going in other person is very important to understand. And then ability to relate to others in effective way, both personally and professionally. If you are able to understand the feelings of the other person, then it is emotion intelligence, because then you will be dealing with the person accordingly. If I could tell you that how it is, how you can communicate on emotional intelligence is, for example, when someone had an event is happened, okay, so I can give you like example from my experience. For example, my for example, my manager has declined my leave request, for example. This is the event. So maybe first of all, I would say that the emotional reaction would be a very negative, that I wanted this leave, he's or he or she is being unconsiderate. So there I need to sit and analyze the emotions going on. First of all, the self talk is very important. The thought you are saying is very important. If the emotions are always shaped by the thought process you are having. In the same scenario, if I think that my manager is doing it purposely on purpose, and he or she just want me to give a tough time, if I'm having this thought process, definitely the emotions will be very negative and I would become defensive and I will try to retaliate. Other than that, if I sit down and try to analyze the situation and see that I'm feeling frustrated that I'm unable to have that leave at the moment. This is a frustration that's making me react. So if you like assign value to the value to the emotion you're having, that frustration, if do you want to react on that, and then have a self talk. Self talk is very important. Like I say, the thought process matters so much in defining your emotions. Instead of thinking that the manager is doing it on purpose, I may say that maybe there is actually a good reason, and I may need to talk that what are the pending tasks that you want me to do in the time, and that's why I cannot have a time off at the moment. If my thought pattern is this, definitely my emotions will shift from retaliating to understanding, and then analyze different way of before acting your onto your emotion, analyze different way to respond. In the same scenario, you can say that it's my I'm entitled to this time off and you cannot stop me. So different way of responding is very important. Analyze that in how many ways you can respond in this situation. It could be it could be in a defensive way. It could be, or you may say that okay, we can talk on some middle ground. If you don't want me to take time off, maybe I can have after this project is done. Or analyze different outcomes of your response. First acting, so analyze what could be the outcomes. If you know the outcomes and you're okay with the outcomes, then respond in that way. And then it's how you can make yourself not to act react on your emotions. So being emotional intelligent is always to recognize your emotions, and while dealing or resolving a conflict, do not talk through your feelings, but always if you will try to talk about your feelings that you did. The one important technique is when trying to resolve a conflict, and one thing is so important is sometimes we tell the other person that you make me feel this way. Okay, there are two problem in this sentence. First of all, you are giving the power to the other person when you're saying you make me, and the other person will always be defensive, because whenever we accuse someone of anything, including ourselves, the first reaction being human comes is to defend ourselves, and we'll say no, I didn't do that and I didn't mean it. So always when you're having a conversation, trying to use I sentences, that I felt this way, then the person will try to understand, okay, maybe they didn't have an intention to make you feel angry or make you hurt, but what you feel that way. Now you are taking the responsibility of your emotions, and the other person is ready to always listen, that okay, you felt that way, but I was not intended to my message was not intended like this. When you always talk about you sentences, the people will not listen and they will become defensive. So the other important trait that is required to thrive in professional setup is resilience. So resilience, basically, because when working in a professional setup, there is always a lot of pressure. We are working with different people from different background, having different perspectives on life. So resilience is very important if you want to thrive into your professional setup, because when you are in college or something, there are like instances when you are having your friend circle, you're having good sport and everything. So maybe you don't feel like pressured, and we don't have the experience to work under pressure where there is the pressure of deadline, and we don't have the sport, or I mean, sometimes we may not have a friends buddy system in office, and we don't have the relevant sport. In that scenario, resilience is the ability to cope the stress and work under pressure is so much important. It's a skill that always we can learn. It's not important that if you we don't have resilience at that at the moment. It's a skill that we can learn over time. So there's some techniques that may help us to be more resilient. So first of all, I would always say that taking the responsibility, whatever the event is going on, whatever the problem is going on, uh, despite of figuring out that what other people could do, what others should do. If we eliminate shoulds from our life, we'll feel more empowered, because we technically and importantly we do not have control on other people, the situations, that this should be like this. The workplace should not be toxic. The manager should not the manager should not behave in that way, or my colleague should not do this. So whenever we will focus our energy on the other people's should, we will not get out something, and we will be under pressure. So whatever the problem is going on, whatever the difficult situation is, try to take responsibility of your part, that you will feel empowered with, like in Spider-Man says that with great responsibility comes great power. With great power comes great responsibility. I always say it's the other way around as well. With great responsibility comes the power. You feel empowered that what I can do is in this situation focus on that part. If the team is under pressure of a strict deadline, just take and just saying that what the manager is behaving, other person behaving, to see what you can do in this thing. So focus on on the your responsibility. Take control, and adapting is very important. Whenever there is change, and in professional environment there are a lot of change happening. So being a resilient person is always flexible. They are not never rigid. They are like more themselves in the situation, because sometimes whatever the situation is, think of two perspectives. Either you can change the situation. There are only two ways. If you're in a situation you are not liking, either you can change that situation, or you can adapt to it. So if you don't have the power to change the situation, the best way is what how you can adapt and preserve your own mental health in the situation. So, and then again, and the choose of language and the thoughts is very important in every scenario. As I have already explained, that your emotions, it's the circle is, first are your thoughts. The way you think defines your emotions. Uh, and then in after how you feel define your action. So it's very important to to reframe your self talk, reframe the way you are thinking about a situation. So reframe, for example, like if you're saying that in this situation they are trying to crush me, So the way you are talking to yourself will generate the same emotion of negativity, and you will act accordingly. So always try to talk to yourself in a positive way and in a problem solution way, because just talking about the problem is never the solution. Identify where is your control, things you can control and what you cannot control, and things you cannot control, you should not never pay attention on the things that are not in your control, because in that way you are just wasting your energy. You end in the difficult situation on the work where there is a lot of change happening, where there is a lot of pressure. You need to build your reservoirs. You need to focus on your mental health. You need to focus on your physical health, so that you have the power and energy to deal with the difficult or the pressure situation. And then one of the important skill is the conflict resolution. So when of course, two I always say the human beings are so different, so complex. If the two people if are saying the same message, they can always mean different things. And that's why every person is very different. Every person is, you will need to understand, when we are going into professional environment, the people coming from different background, from different tier of universities, from different perspective, from different religion. So while conflict resolution, one of the most important talk about I haven't mentioned in this slide is the knowledge on and on diversity and inclusion. Okay, so because on workplace you are going to meet very diverse population. So there is high chances of rising disputes and the conflicts within individual, but how you resolve those conflicts matter a lot in you thriving and for your promotions as well, because on the higher management, the ladder you go up, there is more need of the better conflict resolution, because this is one of the major leadership skill as well. So while resolving a conflict, what you need to do is, wherever there is a conflict, first of all, take a time, never to react. I have learned this throughout the 5 years. The most important is, uh, whenever you want to converse something, just sit down and take a break of like 10 minutes at least, and then see, is it a when is the good time and the place to converse. Sometime what happens is, you were saying the right thing, but you said it in a very inappropriate at a very inappropriate time, or maybe at a very inappropriate, maybe in a cafe everyone is chilling, and you brought up a work thing, or maybe if someone is dealing with all your manager is already dealing with something, and you just pop up and try to say that oh, I have this problem with you. So the people will not listen, and will be defensive. So always choose wisely the time and the place for the conversation, and then assume the positive intentions. Whenever you're trying to resolve a conflict, it's important to assume that your intentions are to resolve the problem. Your intentions are never to make to make yourself right. Your never intention should never to tell other person that you were wrong. If your intentions are just to resolve the problem at the hand, then obviously you will be on a you will be in a good position to resolve the conflict. Make sure it's always a two-way conversation, that you are not just saying what you want. You are listening that the what is the point of view and the perspective of the other person. If you really want to resolve the conflict, listen and be open to change. If you have entered a conversation or a negotiation with a rigid mindset, and with that I'm going to have what I want, the conflict will never be resolved. You need to be open to change as per the facts, and comes out whenever I'm going into pursuing someone. So I always go with a open mindset, and if the different facts comes, so don't be rigid on what you were thinking, and be specific about the issue and the impact. It's very important when you are trying to resolve the conflict. Be specific that what is the problem and the issue is, and how it is impacting your relationship, or maybe your work and how it's impacting your personal growth. So if you are being specific on the issue, the other person will not become defensive. And it's very important when you want to resolve a conflict, it's very important in your personal relationships as well. Never bring up the past, never bring up that you did this and did before. If you will do that, the conflict and the problem you are trying to solve at hand will go into a backyard, and you will be unnecessarily arguing on the past. So these are a few of the important points when you're trying to resolve the conflict. And now, one of the also the important thing when the fresh graduates are entering the workforce is having a learning mindset, a very open and learning mindset. Sometimes the professional world is so much open and wide. Maybe you come with one skill, and you find some other opportunities. You come with one technology, and there comes instances people with HR background come into the workplace and end up being project managers and end up being in marketing, because they always have a learning attitude. So whenever you have a learning attitude, and it's okay, I'm telling you professionally and being HR, if you don't know much of the technical work but you are eager to learn, you are good to go in the workplace. You are eager to learn that you are if the techniques you don't know, and you are open to learning as well. So being a fresh graduate, I can give example from my own experience. I never say on the work, this is not my work. And how it helped me, sometimes obviously you have to draw the boundaries whenever people are trying to manipulate you. But being the fresh at the work, I would suggest, in my own perspective, you may disagree, I had never said that this is not my work. Whenever someone came to me that could you do this work, or maybe it was not on my JD, but how it helped me out, always being open to learning, I gained more insight into what are my skills, how I could be utilized. So be confident and be open to learning the task, especially when you're new on the workforce. Don't say that I cannot do this, this is not on my JD, I didn't study this. Just be open to learning. If you don't know anything, you may there's always one thing that everyone has in the world, that's the ability to learn. So don't crush your ability to learn, be open. And what the fixed mindset said that I cannot do this, but the growth mindset is always open to learn. And I want, and they like challenges. And and they and they are always curious. What other scale I would say, stay curious, stay extremely curious. When someone asks to define myself, say I have a very curious mind. So for learning and to thrive in the work as a new professional, you what you need to, you need to ignite your curiosity. Try to learn that what's happening, how the business works, how the people are working in different designations, what the job the other person is doing. Be curious that how the business is going to impact from other factors. So if you have that curiosity, you have a lot of opportunities to learn. And then there are some additional skills that I think are important to thrive in the workforce is empathy. That's, I'd say, it's very important. And research also tells that empathy is one of the most important component in the leadership, and to thrive in personal life as well. Empathy is the ability to understand other person's perspective, is basically wearing other person's shoe. So whenever you are dealing with a person, so maybe the person is saying something that differs from your point of view. If you try to understand, being empath, that why the person is having that perspective, maybe the religion they come from, maybe the background they come from. So if you have the empathy for the person, sometimes people get offended very easily on religion. So if you say that keep on saying that it's my freedom of choice to say you are not understanding you're not having the empathy. Being empathy is knowing that it's not hindering your freedom of speech, but rather being empath means that a certain ideology, a certain thing is very dear to some as to other person, that you are hurting those feelings. So being empath is very important, because if you can understand other person's perspective, you can always have your point, you can always have your point make. And then the integrity and reliability at work. In my whole life, in my whole career, whatever a person, just if someone asks me, just tell one thing, just tell one thing to that is important to be succeed in life, or overall, I would always say it's integrity, sincerity, and reliability. I would say it doesn't matter what you are doing, whatever the work you are doing, just do it with complete sincerity and good intentions. It's my personal learning. I have observed in all my life that if your intentions are good, your intentions were pure, you were doing the work with sincerity. So there never had been an instance that I had a setback, because whether if I talk about personal relationships, even if I talk about work, if you're doing something with sincerity and complete honesty, they will pay you off. And the other important thing is the interpersonal skills and building the professional network. Professional network is building your connections in the workplace is very important. They will help you out to grow and bring you the more opportunities. So what you can do about building professional network is, while at the work as well, do not just talk or converse within your department. Always try to be friendly to other people as well. Do have a conversation with other people, and most importantly, have a good presence on your LinkedIn. We can have a other session in detail that how you can optimize your LinkedIn profile, and do connect with the people related to your industry, related to your profession. Do connect with them, do participate in the connects that comes up within your professional connects, like HR connect. If I'm a HR professional, I may go and attend that. And if there are certain connects, always do go there, make your presence, and always and never deny an interview. Whatever I say, if you get an interview call, it doesn't matter if you're going to have the job, it doesn't matter if you intend to have the job, at least go there and converse and introduce yourself. And there are two of the bonus skills, I would say, that will literally stand you out in the work environment, that is irrespective of from what profession you are. Two skills are very important. One is the data literacy that you can learn, and the business acumen. When I'm talking about data literacy, is you have the ability to analyze the data, because now in professional environment, the decisions should be made data driven. The with evidence based. You may have heard evidence based decision making. So if you want to thrive in the environment, you need to have a good skill to analyze the data. You can analyze that the trends. You For that you need to learn Excel, and you may have a course in data analytics maybe. So if you have a good data literacy and you can talk in numbers, in graphs, that you can see that where the business is going, and then making that decision, it's a very important skill. And other than that is business acumen. Business acumen is basically you're under wherever the organization you're working, you should be having a knowledge of the business they are doing. It's very important if you want to thrive within the organization, and especially if you someone is from HR background. You need to understand, for making strategic decisions, you need to understand how the business generates the revenue, who are the stakeholders, and what external factors that impacts the business function, and how you have to align the business goals, how you can align then understanding the business goals with your own performance. That's if you align the business goal with your performance, and then you will flourish differently in the environment, in the work setting. That's it from my side today. We are open for question answer. Yes, I think we have a raising hand. Lilian, if I'm not pronouncing your name wrong.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Thank you for the nice conversation. I have two questions. How can we
Yeah,
communicate with the person? How can we communicate with the person? First question. How can we communicate?
there
How
is a
can we
lot of
communicate with Rude?
uh, sorry, there is a lot of background sound when you're speaking. Can you please repeat?
How can we how can we communicate with rude person? With
Okay,
person.
okay.
How can?
Okay, so again, when you're saying how can we communicate with rude person, is uh, when someone is being rude, and like I have already explained, if people become rude and defensive when they say you when they see you as a threat. So if the person is being rude, just be polite, and be polite with them, and just be specific on the topic you are trying to say. Don't try to eliminate your feelings about being the person rude. If you are considering the person rude, so definitely your behavior unconsciously being going to be negative with the person. So whenever you are going to the person you consider being rude, you may say respectfully that please have your time. When you feel okay to talk, we can talk about it later. When you feel okay to talk about it in a more appropriate way, maybe. And then try to hold the communication not about themselves but about yourself, and be specific on the issue resolving. And not because in my opinion the people start being rude when they see you as that you are pointing something onto them. So try not to make them feel that you are trying to criticize them or something. Instead of say that I am trying to resolve this issue only, and this is how I am getting impacted by your behavior. Or you may go and respectfully tell, if a person is being rude, you can say again, instead of saying that you are being rude to me, it will make the other person defensive. You can always say, I am being impacted the way you are talking to me. If when you will say, you will see hopefully you will see a difference. The person is taking the message.
Okay, thank you so much. And another question, I have a question about the emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, يعني in my experience before, it's about to understand the other point of view. Is other point of the other person, they don't understand our point of view. How can we communicate with them?
Again, I would say that what we can do, we don't have control on other person. As I have always say that if we keep on say that should that other person should know our perspective and should have good emotional intelligence, that will not work. What you need to do, you need to just focus on yourself. And again, person is not if understanding your perspective. You just need to define that what is your intention, what you want to have out of this conversation. So of course you need to if you want to like aapka purpose kya hai, that what is the purpose is. If you want to pursue the person on the thing, you are trying to understand. First you need to try to understand from where the person is coming from. If you are understanding other person's emotion and they are incapable to understand yours, just try to communicate in words that what your feelings are. If they don't get it, then you always have the option to set the boundaries, that I tried to communicate, and now you may set the boundaries that if you're not respecting my emotions, if you're not going to validate my emotions, then you can always set a boundary that you can distance yourself from the person if that's impacting your mental health and not ready to change, because you need to choose your battle wisely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. So next we have, I think, Divya Kumari.
Hello, ma'am. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. So I have a question
Yeah.
that am I audible?
Yes, Divya, you are audible.
So my question is that how the HR department see a profile who is pretty diverse. Like I would say that I had done my bachelor's like a year ago, and it is in a biomedical engineering. So then, like I started working within my bachelor's degree, but I haven't worked in my degree, like my field. I have a pretty like I like to experiment with different things, having different experience. So like I have 2 years of experience, 2.5 year of experience, but none of them is within my field. It is like some experiences in that tech there, then I worked for a social organization, and like that I also volunteer for different organization. So like how HR department see this profile, like how will you judge it? Like you will say that is it is too immature that a person having this much diverse profile, or do you see it as a positive point that a person have diverse background?
Okay, so it will be depending on the job you're applying for. Okay, so what I would say, it's never, I would say, wrong to experiment with the things, but there should be a time when you are experimenting. But later on in the life, you should define a clear line where you want to grow your career with. So it's important, if you will be having a diverse profile all of your career long, and you're not clear that what you want in life and in which area you want to excel in. Obviously, sometimes that we say the quote very wrong. The complete quote is like, jack of all trade is master of none, but is sometimes is better than master of one. So sometimes if the scenario is there is a shortage of talent, or maybe there is someone says sees a potential in you, that you can you have the learning abilities, and the post is not related to some profession that require a technical skills and experienced person, you may get selected there. But in, I would suggest, in your life you need to it's not always necessarily that you will be working in the degree you have earned, but at least you need to make sure and decide that which area or which work you want to excel in, then make yourself like experience in that thing that will stand you out. But having a diverse experience of like 3 months here, 3 months there, this will not give a good impact on application tracking system.
Yes, exactly. Like I have been applying for jobs, and when I see, like I read too many job descriptions, and I see they often ask like a diverse skill set. I would say like they want public speaking, they want this, and this. So like it makes me wonder that like how should I decide? Like because I am in at the very early age, very early stage of my career. I would say like I haven't even professionally started working. So like I
Mhm.
think this is the perfect time to experience, like to actually try different things and see what fits best for me. So like I think because I was yesterday I was taking a session, and the person those were experienced professionals, they said that it is okay because the world is changing now, that it is okay if you wear multiple hats. So like now there's a confusion that what should I do, because I see myself, I have evaluated myself, and I see that I don't want to recognize myself as a master of one thing only. Like I want a diverse background, like I like it. So like how do you see it?
So, uh, okay, so if I tell you, like in I myself, being I don't like to be like stuck into only one skill. So what you can always do is you can have multiple interests. That's okay. What I would suggest, but as for the career, you need to define that where you can excel. Like if you like public speaking, or you can have different things. Like if you like volunteer work, like today I'm having a session with you guys. So it's also because I sometimes I don't want to do more operational work at my job. I want to connect, I want to be a trainer, or I want to, so I'm having this session. So you can have different work, and it's good to learn. It will groom you in different areas. But professionally, you should define a line that where you want to grow. Like if I'm a HR professional and I am working in HR for a year, and then I'm in working in marketing, obviously they will not see me that where should I fit in. If I want to work in marketing as well, I may have a project, a freelancing project, one or two. I can work there. World is changing, that's right, and we have multiple opportunities. So if you want to try on different things, you can do it on volunteer basis, on being freelancer and helping other people out. But for if you want to be like flourish in somewhere, then you need to choose a direction. That's important.
Thank you, I got my answer.
You're welcome. Yes, Aisha, you may speak.
Assalamu alaikum to all of you. Uh, Actually, my question is, I think it sounds very silly, but this is the question when someone asks about my introduction. I feel like that they shattered my nerve system. I'm very much confused. I'm confused about the answer. That what should I answer them when I attend an interview, and the interviewer asked about me that, yes, Miss Aisha, please introduce yourself. And I was like, oh my God, what should I answer to him? And when I was recently, I was in Oxford test. I was attending an interview of Oxford test. So when the interviewer was asking about my intro, I was like, my name is Aisha, and I've just done my masters, and I'm from KP. And I was like, what should I tell him? So can you please uh, briefly tell me about the introduction, that if an interviewer asks, or in a ceremony or in a workshop, somebody asks about my introduction, then what are the specific things, or bio, or the intro, to tell them that I am this and that? What are the things to
Okay,
to
so
tell in a small intro?
okay, what I would suggest when you are trying to introduce yourself, start with that, obviously, with your name. And sometimes it's good to ask the question as well. Like when I'm giving an interview and someone asks me to introduce yourself, sometimes I do ask, what do you want to know? If you want to know my education background, or you want to know me as a person? Okay, so it's also ice breaking. You may have this conversation as well, or whenever you're trying to introduce, start with your name and start with the qualifications you have, and always do not just stay on the qualification. Also tell them the person, as a person on personal level, who you are, who the Aisha is. So sometimes when I ask the person a question, what do you want to know about myself, is you want to know educational background, my work history, or you want to know me as a person. So they tell me that sometimes that we want to know who you are as a person. So always when trying to introduce, apart from your qualification, always also tell that who you are as a person.
Oh my God, thank you so much for the beautiful answer. You are just a healer. You are a love. Thank you so much. Thank you for your
Thank you so
answer.
much for the kind words. Thank you. Yes, Sadika. Sidika, you are raising hand. Yes,
Grace, I
please.
would share this opportunity to share with you my queries. Based on your experience, what advice do you have for someone entering the job market in our field? Are there common mistakes or misconceptions that you have observed among entry-level professionals?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you completely. You want to know that is entry level? Could you please repeat that?
Okay. Based on your experience, what advice do you have for someone entering the job market in our field? Are there common mistakes or misconceptions that you have observed among entry-level professionals?
And there, of course, when I think you need to know that is there are misconception that when you are non-experienced and are entry level, so would they accept your applications or not? So obviously, when you are on entry level, there are different paths for the fresh graduates. They are the you can always enter through an internship program, and when you are fresh graduate, you should be like focusing on learning more. You shouldn't be focusing at while entering the market. Your concern should be to enter a good firm. You can choose a program through internship. You can choose their future leadership programs. You can choose to enter from their MTO programs. So there are different programs in every organization that accept the application from fresh graduates. So you can always choose to enter through these programs.
Thanks a bunch.
Okay, I think we have concluded it. Maheen, over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Mahrukh. Thank you very much for your time, for your suggestions to the individuals, each of them, and for your feedback. And
My
through this session, Ms. Mahrukh, I've learned one more thing with the individuals, and I would like you to please highlight this to our candidates as well, that whenever you join any program or start a new project, or you tend to choose something to do, and it's a learning phase and you start to feel frustrated or kind of lost, that means that is your learning area. You need to
Yep.
know how to tackle that thing. So that is your uncomfortable zone, and that uncomfortable zone is your learning zone. So I would really love, Ms. Mahrukh, if you can motivate them to how to tackle that in frustration when they're joining as an intern, as a volunteer, as a fresher. This is one point when people tend to lose hope. If
Yep.
you add something, that would be great.
Yeah, very right, Maheen. You have said it very beautifully that whenever you are feeling that you are not being accepted, you are saying that your applications are not being accepted, you are not finding a way out. So that's in learning curve. Of course, you are on a learning curve. That's the uncomfortable thing that you have to deal with. And first of all, never underestimate yourself. One application rejection never means that you don't have the required skills. Sometimes it's like your skills are not relevant to the job opening, but you definitely have skills, and you can all like I have experienced, stay on your continuous path of learning. So keep on, just have a knowledge of how the trend is going on, what are the skills in demand, and always keep on learning. Always keep on learning, never stop your learning process. And when you are being frustrated, don't see that I'm going to quit. There's always another way. There's always to upgrade your skills, and be aware and knowledgeable that what are the things that will help. Like you have just attended to this session, that means you are investing on yourself. You will learn something, you will apply it to your day-to-day dealing. And this is the way that you need to stay resilient in the hard time. That will make you succeed in life and profession.
Thank you, Ms. Mahrukh, for your time. Thank you for your lovely thoughts. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session. I hope you have got some of the clues that you're looking for the right direction for your life and for your profession. And I really, really hope that you will stay connected with Ms. Mahrukh through LinkedIn. She's always there. And as a mentor, she is a very humble person. Yes, she is very much busy because everyone is busy, but she's very humble. She will definitely answer you when you are in need of help. So thank you,
Yeah, sure.
everyone.
I'm always with. You can
All right. So
connect with the LinkedIn.
yes. So I will definitely share your LinkedIn ID with everyone, Ms. Mahrukh.
Yeah,
And
sure.
yeah, they will definitely connect with you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Have a good night.
Okay,
Thank you,
thanks
ma'am.
for having me. Take care, everyone.